Alright guys, we can get started. Alright, let's go ahead.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Welcome to our third Tiger Mountain Foundation Farmers Market Workshop. At Tiger Mountain, our mission is to empower people by building flourishing community gardens, providing job skills, support, and workforce development through neighborhood revitalization and beautification with our multi-ethnic and multi-generational initiatives. So how farmers markets come into play for us is it allows us to reach a lot of people from the community, being out there, providing produce that is donation-based, making sure that everybody can afford locally grown, healthy, nutritious food. We educate them on how to process that food, how to cook it, how to keep healthy meals at home, and we teach them about Tiger Mountain while we're there. It's a great time for outreach. We get tons of volunteers from being there, and it brings them out to the garden and shows them a lot of wonderful things, kind of helps them connect back to themselves, and we even help them plan their own backyard gardens too. And we really focus on trying to also hire people who can't be employed by corporate America, whether it's from incarceration, elderly, and that provides a lot of opportunities for people who wouldn't have that elsewise. And let's see. Okay, so our first speaker is going to be Rachel. She is the Uptown Farmers Market manager. Close. Oh, sorry.
There, we can hear you.
And I think we have some people joining us live as well, so pass this.
Well, hello. Like Jen said, my name's Rachel, and I have been managing the Uptown Farmers Market for probably like 4 or 5 years, I would say. So through that long stint at the markets, I have actually kind of picked up a lot of different things about the market that I've learned, which is wonderful. And so kind of I've been given a few questions to answer, and there's going to be a Q&A at the end, which I'm happy to answer any specific questions you guys have. But one of the questions I got was, what market works for you? And what I would say, when you're trying to look into finding a farmer's market that works for you to sell at or to have your product at, I would definitely, the biggest thing is to look at kind of the rules and regulations of each farmer's market. Now, if you know you have a busy life and you have to cancel a lot of times, you know, there are markets that say there's a 3-time cancellation policy, and if you do 3 cancellations, you're actually dropped out of the market. So maybe finding a more flexible market would be more optimal for you. Also, another thing is because the markets there's so many markets, you can definitely take your pick, but I would look at all the different vendors that each market that you're applying for has. So for example, if you are selling microgreens, and then you look at the vendor list, and there's about 40% of the vendors there are selling microgreens, maybe best to see another farmer's market that doesn't have as many microgreens, so you can really reach the clientele and sell to them and really get your word out there. And then how do you get a table, a site, or a booth? Kind of like I had mentioned before, the best way to do it is to go onto the website of the farmer's market, and on there they usually have a contact information, and you reach out to either the owner or the market manager, and you can see how you go about applying for each one. For example, for the Uptown Farmers Market, if you go to our website and scroll to the bottom, you'll see the Apply to be a Vendor here link. You click that, and it pulls up the application with the rules and regulations and everything you need to know about it. And other markets might have a little bit of a different procedure depending on the size. Because we are one of the larger ones, we do have a nice website, and we have, you know, a whole contract that the owner, Bo Mostow, she's built up over the years. But definitely do that. And then another great thing, if you really want to get into it, is to go to the market and introduce yourself and just kind of scout it out, get to know some people, talk to the market and see if they actually have spaces in it, because I know a lot of the markets right now are kind of at full capacity after COVID. Everyone really wanted to go from the grocery stores outside to the markets and support local. So definitely go and kind of check that out. And then let's see, any special tips? I always, from working at the market, I have learned one of my best tips to have is, even if it's not mandatory, if you have a tent, have each leg of the tent weighted down with at least 20 pounds. We have had those tents torpedo up and down through windshields I mean, it is some scary stuff. Luckily, it has never taken anyone out, but it's a constant battle with these tents. So one of my biggest tips, and I know it's very not specific to applying for a market, but having weights is very important. And then another thing is I know a lot of, depending on what license you have to get, if you're selling a food product, if you're making juices, whatever it is always, I think, a great thing to have your food handlers or your serve safe, just so you know the food safety, because you may not see it as a customer, but we actually have a lot of the health inspectors going around. They temp check all the products, make sure that you're following the rules, that you have hand washing stations if you need to and you're selling a food product. There's all these different tidbits, and if you have any questions specific, it's best to reach out to the health department and kind of ask and say, I'm curious, I'm selling coffee, cups of coffee to sell, what do I need exactly? And they'll walk you through it. And I actually know one of the contacts there, he hosts kind of a how to get into the markets type thing and like what licensing you need for small businesses, mainly with the focus of being in the farmer's market. So going to one of those and finding out when those are would be ideal. So I think that's kind of my little blurb, and I'm sure hopefully there's some good questions so I can answer specifics later. Thank you. Back to Jen.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have questions on any of our lives? Or our Zoom?
Okay. So we can do our questions up there until I see anything.
Oh, Anna's.
She's gonna repeat out.
Okay. My question for you guys is based on what Rachel said about the Safe certification. If somebody wants to do that, do you have any recommendations how they could find out more about it and about what it would cost? And if you don't know, that's okay, but I was just curious.
Okay, so our question is about ServSafe, what it would cost, how to find out more information on getting that.
All right, a great question here, because the best way to do it is to go onto Google and you do the food handlers. I don't know any specifics, but the food handlers, I don't know the exact amount, but it is far less than the ServSafe. Food handlers is more kind of the basic. It's $25. I was say $500. $25 for food handlers. Less involved, less intense. It does not take as much time as well. And a lot of the license just require food handlers. And even if you have employees, getting them their food handlers as well would be great, because then they also would know the basics of keeping things safe and not getting anyone sick. Now, ServSafe is another step up that is way more involved, but you know everything about proper food storage, temps, all of that kind of good stuff, and really, really diving deeper. And it is, I'm not sure the cost again, but it's way more than the food handlers, but it is worth it in some cases, depending on what your business is. So you might want to just kind of look at them both, compare, contrast. Maybe you get the ServSafe and then your employees get the food handlers. Just some ideas, but it's good to have some of those.
You can get both of them on ServSafe.com.
You can get both of them on servesafe.com, Caitlin said. Okay, that's good to know. So there you go.
I have a chat.
So, Rachel, what is your favorite part about farmers markets? Like, in your perspective, what is the best part of being there?
Number one part is the community. I love it. I go in, it's not even a job to me. I kept saying, oh, my background's in dietetics. And I said, oh, I'll go work in the hospital or something as a dietitian. still at the farmer's market because I just love it. You go there, the vendors all become like family. They all barter with each other. So if someone sells like coffee and someone sells mushrooms, they'll do a little trade. They support each other. If we have a vendor who's sick, all of us will kind of rally together, put together a care package, support each other. It is wonderful as well, and they really see this as their own personal market. So we get a lot of great feedback. They give their comments, which I love, and they really see this as their kind of space, their safe space, their happy space every Wednesday and Saturday through our markets to come congregate with people, you know your vendors, and I really personally like to know my food and all the stuff I buy. Pretty much 90% of what I buy is actually from Uptown Farmers Market, including clothes and candles and all that stuff. Things you wouldn't really expect because I like to know my source, and I know that I personally have inspected each farm, every vendor, and I know that they put such love and care into each product that they have and that they've created. And a lot of them, like a lot of our gluten-free or, there's certain allergens, the reason that the vendor started that product is because maybe their daughter was recently diagnosed celiac or diabetic, and so they couldn't find anything in the modern market in the grocery stores, so they came out with their own line that they think is, safe and that they trust to give to their kids and stuff, and then they pass it on to others, and it's very interesting. You learn something new each market from all the different research that each vendor does. It's very cool.
We do have a question on the live. Should you have a certain amount of produce to sell at market, and if so, how much should you have?
So one of our live questions is, do you need to have a certain amount of produce at the market? And if so, how much
Should you have?
should you have?
All right, so that's a great question. I honestly think that's why I highly recommend before you start at a market to go to the market, and then you can kind of see the foot traffic, how many people there are, that kind of stuff, because it's really hit or miss. Our Saturday market, there's over, I think, like 6,000 to 10,000 people who come to it, and we have over 175 vendors. So for that kind of a market, you definitely want to have a lot of stock to sell, because most of the vendors by the end of the market at 1 o'clock, they've pretty much sold out. But then on our Wednesday market, it's 75 vendors, more intimate, smaller. It's really hit or miss depending on, how many people come, because say like there's a school's out, or maybe there's a holiday or something. So that kind of is hit or miss, but because it's smaller, you don't need as much as you would need on Saturday. You kind of have to get a feel too, and I think starting out bringing less is the best, just because then you can kind of get a gauge of how much people will start buying and get your name out there, because it does take a little bit to get your name out, have people start falling in love with your product, get to know your customers, and then in a short time you do get a loyal customer base, but it takes a little bit. So starting out smaller so you don't waste your product, probably the best option.
Do I have to have insurance as a vendor?
So Caitlin asked, do we have to have insurance to be a vendor? And yes, you do have to have insurance. Some of them you get kind of, you can go underneath the LLC of who's hosting the market, but that is a case by case depending on which market you're at. So the best thing to do is to go onto their application and see the whole process. And if you go onto Uptown Farmers Market and you click on our application, I would recommend that as a starting point, just because Bo, the owner, did such a great job of putting together all the things you need, including the licensing. There's contact information on there for the contact at the health department. That would probably be the best bet. But it's just depending on what product you sell, each license is different. But definitely making sure you hold permits, licensing, all the different like food handlers, serve safe cards, so you don't get flagged and shut down, is the best. Better to err on the side of caution and ask the questions and say, am I okay? Do I need more permits or whatever, than to get in trouble from the health department.
Can you walk us through what it would be like when I pull up in the morning to get my stuff home and set up?
Yeah. So a question we had was, what do we do in the morning when we pull up and getting kind of the whole process of setup and breakdown? Now I can only speak for Uptown because that's the one I worked at, but we have a crew that works on site, And when you pull up, I always recommend getting there early if you're the first, you know, if it's your first market especially. And the reason for that is because the aisles fill up so quickly and cars are pulled in the aisles and they're unloading and it takes a little bit of time and you have to be set up by market time. Even being set up maybe for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes before is best because customers do come in early and it looks good when you're ready to go exactly on starting point, even a little early. So when you come in though, well, our rules are that you unload your stuff, go park your car, get out of the walkways, and then you start setting up. And the crew is there to help you set up tents, set up the weights, but pretty much you have to be equipped to lift most of the stuff because we do, like I mentioned, have 175 vendors, and we have maybe like 10 crew there, so we have to really spread it out, and we're really just, usually if there's a crew to market, it's there to quickly help you if you're struggling with the tent because it can be a little difficult, I know, and lifting weights. But you have to be able to set your tables up, all that kind of stuff, which is important. But yeah, and then just making sure you're set up on time. That's the most important thing because it really doesn't look professional when you have customers coming through and you're like, hey, sorry, hold on, I'm still setting up. And to be honest, I used to run a booth at a market too, and I would say that you as a vendor, it stresses me out when you have a whole line waiting for you and you're saying, oh, sorry, I'm not set up, and then you're disorganized and you lose sales. So being set up on time is important. Definitely recommend that.
And then having worked in the market as a manager and seen people come and go, what would you say is, if you have insight on like why they leave, like what deal breakers would be for somebody? And sorry, yeah, like why do you think vendors pull out of the market if it doesn't fit for them? Do you have any insight?
Yeah. A lot of times the vendor will pull out because they move, their life becomes too hectic, it's becoming too much work because especially during COVID, one of the issues is getting materials was impossible and it was so expensive. So it's kind of weighing, is it worth it to continue the cost of actually making the product versus what I make? That kind of, sometimes it's just not worth it. Because I know, for example, like mason jars, that no one could get mason jars and they were so expensive. So a lot of our pickle makers really struggled and a lot of the pickles were in stock because of that. Another one, limes became obscenely expensive for a box. And to try and, I know a lot of my vendors try and maintain costs and not increase costs a bunch and stuff, just to keep it really consistent for the customers and affordable. But with costs going so high, sometimes it just didn't work. Another one is, that's pretty much it though, most of the time, because once people come into Uptown, specifically, because that's what I know, but it's like a family and you love your people and you really never leave. Like I'm an example personally. I was thinking, oh, I'll just work this for a year or so. I loved it and I love markets. I always have. I used to be in co-ops as a baby, but I am still here because it is family and you and you love your vendors. You get to know them on a personal basis. It's hard to, it's really a struggle to leave. And even our vendors who leave or move, every time they come to town, they always come and say hi. It's really a fantastic community. Yes.
So, yes, hi.
I can only be here a short time and have answers.
Okay, just so you know, Rachel is a manager at some farmers market. She's a great resource for any questions you have about like how to get into the market.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Number one. I took economics in school, but it wasn't on my major.
What was that? Sorry.
She took economics in school, but it wasn't her major.
Okay.
Well, my major was business,
Your major was business.
and my interest is in business.
Okay.
So what is my next step?
Okay.
Because I don't know.
You're interested in vending and you're trying to figure out the next step. What I would think for the next step, well, if you're interested in vending, the first thing, I'm not a business major, but just knowing my own personal entrepreneurial spirit, I would say finding what you're passionate about and starting a product.
Oh, my passion is
In an education? Okay. Well, for at the market, I'm trying to think, I know we have like every now and then we'll have a certain booth where someone's educating, like a nonprofit will come and speak and try and raise money. We also have like a book event happen where people come and they bring their kids and they read books and buy a book, donate a book or something like that, and then we can educate there. We also used to have yoga. Yoga would be there and they would teach yoga, a mommy class. We had a bike class. There are opportunities for education. I don't know how you can monetize that though.
I understand what you're saying because you're an entrepreneur in business.
Yes.
What I did was do the wrong thing. I went to college, then I sent my kids to college, then I lost time with my children. That's what I did wrong.
Okay. Well, life is an up and down battle. We live and learn, right?
Yeah, but now that I'm old, I just have time to spend with my children. So that's what I did wrong.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely look into. She's talking about education at the markets and how to incorporate education in markets. And I think probably reaching out to all the market owners or managers and just seeing, is there opportunity for me, explaining what you want to do, and seeing if they have a possibility for you to kind of do your educating at the markets would be great. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, if you recommend that,
Yeah.
that's good, because that's not what I would have thought.
Yeah. Can't hurt.
Let them know. We have a question from Paula, but we're going to direct it to all the people at the end. Let them know. Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like we have a question from Paula, but we're gonna wait until the end so we can direct it to the whole panel.
So we can move on, I think, unless anybody else has questions.
Does anybody else have questions?
Yeah, we have a question from Nanette. She said at Uptown, is it possible to just bid at the Wednesday market to start off, or do you prefer vendors to do both days?
Repeat
Great
the question
question.
here. Repeat it for here. Repeat the question. Because we have
Oh,
Instagram.
okay. She was asking, is it possible to just vend at one market at Uptown Farmers Market, like the Wednesday market, and not do both? Is there something I recommend about that? Now, I will tell you, for Uptown, we have waiting lists for a lot of different categories. It depends on what product you're selling, but like the artists and stuff, there's huge wait lists. It is much, much easier to get into the Wednesday market than the Saturday market, just because Saturday is the huge one. Everybody wants to get into that one. There's more foot traffic, and usually people are, if they work 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday, they have Saturdays available and they're busy on Wednesdays. So you can just work one market. We do have a lot of vendors who are just Wednesday or just Saturday, and then other vendors who do both. But Wednesday is definitely easier to get into. But the best thing to do is to put an application into Uptown Farmers Market and then reach out to Bo Mostow. Her information's on the application as well as the website, and she can kind of guide you and stuff. But like I said, we do have a lot of applicants each week because there's a lot of people starting businesses and products that are great, but we only have so much space at the church because we have a huge, it's on Central and Bethany, and it's this huge property, but it is, the space is with almost 200 vendors. It's huge. Yeah, so that was my answer though.
Question.
How long do they stay on your list? How do you know if they don't need to be on the list anymore? Things like that.
Okay, so your question is how long does someone stay on like a farmer's market wait list? Okay.
So it kind of, when you, question. Okay. It kind of has to do with who leaves the market, or if someone takes time off, because maybe someone like some vendor went out because of surgery, so they're out for the whole year or something because they can't stand because they're having knee surgery or back surgery, whatever it is, or they have a kid or something. In that case, then we'll go and we'll look and say, okay, who do we have who has a similar product that we can replace in that spot? And we go down the list. Obviously, if you just put in your application, you're not going to probably get in because there are people above you who have a similar product. But it does, again, depend on the product. If you have something super unique that we do not have in the market, and Bo kind of knows what's going to be a hit or miss because she's been in the farmers market game forever. What you can do, what we'll do is, you know, something really, really unique, then probably you'll get a priority into it. But yeah, I feel like, does that answer your question, Carol? Yeah, okay. I kind of went on a tangent.
Okay, one quick, last question. My weakness is in fruit. Okay, so if I see fruit, I want fruit. So I don't want to sin, I want to budget. So what would you suggest that I do when I come to the farmer's market?
Okay, so the question is, if we have a food weakness and we want to spend a lot of money whenever we see really good produce in the market, what do we do when we're on a budget?
Why don't we ask some of our vendors
Okay.
what you think? I know you haven't presented yet, but what do you want to do?
I mean, I would say, first of all, I know Uptown and Downtown offer SNAP. Like, you can run your card and get coins to spend there, which is really helpful as far as that goes, and WIC as well.
Senior program.
And the senior program. Yeah, you can do the senior program coupons also. And shopping around, seeing what people's prices are can also be helpful, would be my first advice.
Thank you.
Maybe just really quick talk about how you guys do expect SNAP, what that is, and then we'll move on.
So for SNAP is a year-round program. We offer that all year. And what you do is you come, there's all the vendor tents are white tents, and then the info booth is red tent. You go to the red tent and we swipe your card for however much you want. Say you want to swipe for $20. We charge your card $20, and you get to go around and use EBT tokens and spend them. But when you swipe for $20, what's great, and I highly recommend if you have a SNAP card, is you get what's called double up food bucks. And what those are basically you get an additional $20 that you're not charged for, but they double up your money. And that extra $20 you can go around and spend on local fruits and vegetables, mushrooms, and microgreens. So any type of fresh Arizona-grown produce, which is all our produce vendors at the Uptown Farmers Market. And that is a great opportunity because not only are you getting the 20, you're getting an additional 20, and you're giving back to the local farmers, giving back to your local small businesses, which is wonderful. And it's more fun to shop at the farmers market anyway.
So
and
as
the
a
grocery store.
vendor, it would make sense to have some products that you can accept that monetary gain.
Yes. So as a vendor, it would be beneficial to have a product that you can accept that EBT or double up food bucks. And for EBT, how you use those tokens, it's on anything that's not ready to eat. And what that means is anything that's packaged, wrapped, and what I always like to say is anything that doesn't have a straw or a fork in it and that's not hot, served hot. Like you can have butter and milk and stuff like that, yogurt and bread, and all that qualifies for EBT. So yeah, that would be nice to have, even if you are serving ready to eat stuff, to have packaged stuff is always good. And if you have any questions, again, you can always approach the SNAP line, or you can just call the Uptown Farmers Market. We have our phone number on the website. We can walk you through what you can buy. Or the crew, myself included, we can, when you come to the Red Info tent, we can always explain that system to you.
And then someone on Instagram Live said, only bring a certain amount of money with you and compare prices to find the better deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right. Go ahead, Jen.
And then I would like to point out Tiger Mountain Foundation is donation based. So
Yes.
that's always a good option.
And I like how the fruit includes vegetables too.
Yes. Yeah. That's great.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So we're going to move on to meet the rest of our panel. Myself first, because I've been working farmers markets for, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 8 years. It's been a long time. I started out because I got tired of working in the cosmetology industry, and I took a job on a farm, and then he asked me if I wanted to drive a giant van to Staten Island every Saturday. I was in Pennsylvania, so it's about a 2-hour drive, and I decided to do it. I fell in love. Staten Island is also like really fun, tons of characters. I think my best day there was probably in the $1,000 range, and that's during tomato season. And so I just got really into that. It was wonderful. I did Staten Island on Saturdays. We had a Wednesday market and a Sunday market, which is really good for produce because you want to be harvesting fresh as close as you can the day before the market, because people will ask you if you harvested that morning. And when I was leaving for Staten Island at 4 a.m., we were not harvesting that morning. And then I moved out to Arizona, and I really miss working with vendors. I worked multiple farms back in Pennsylvania, but then I moved to Arizona and I took a corporate job again, and I decided I didn't like it. So I came to Tiger Mountain because their mission really aligned with what I'm trying to do in my life, which is support the community and provide them with fresh local food, which is super important.
And what's your name and what's your role here?
Oh yeah, I guess that's helpful. So my name is Jen. I am the harvest lead for Tiger Mountain, and I also run the farmers markets with Jay and Kyosha.
Does anybody have questions for Jen?
So I will say too, I know we were talking about how much produce to bring to the market. I think knowing the poundage that you're bringing with you, writing the times, not only what you sell out of, but the times you sell out of it, can give you a time frame for what you should bring with you next time, what people are asking for. We make a habit of writing down requests from everybody. And rain or shine, be at your market if you can, unless it's canceled, because people want consistency. They want to know that their vendors that they love are going to be there. And also making friends with the other vendors. Many people will trade supplies with you. Like I used to trade with the bread people all the time. And that way they know your face, they know what you're selling. If somebody asks them a question or if they overhear a conversation, they'll probably recommend people or refer people to your booth.
What do you do to attract customers to your booth?
So to attract customers to our booth, we have a really fun spin wheel. And also, somebody told me once, pilot high, watch it fly, and I think that was the best advice I ever got. You want it to look really clean, none of your own food on the table, don't eat at your booth, don't have your drinks out, like have everything hidden under the tables, because people are watching everything you do all the time. And just be really engaging, just say hello to everybody that walks by. I wouldn't say calling them in too much or like catcalling or anything, because people get really, they don't like that. But yeah, just make sure that your booth looks really good. We use white crates and farm baskets, so kind of find your niche, what you want your aesthetic to be, and make sure it looks really good, and just know how to draw people in, whether it be from like our fun spin wheel. We tell people what we're doing there, and people want to know why you're doing what you're doing and your passion.
What's on your spin wheel?
So on our spin wheel, we have things like take a picture, pose with the produce. We're gonna do like win a free T-shirt, and let's see what else we have. Tell us a recipe, because we just want to hear from the community, engage with everybody. And we also have information out about volunteering as well.
Do you guys offer anything outside of produce at your booth?
So right now we just have produce at our booth, but we also try and engage for people to come volunteer with us and take volunteers at the markets too. But we primarily have produce. We're hoping to work into some other fun things.
What about recipes?
And recipes we always have available with a QR code, which is really nice because then you can scan that and take it home with you.
So having a value-added product.
Yeah, anything that can kind of bring people in, give them things that are free. It's always important to do some free education with your booth, whether it be telling a recipe, offering a recipe, any information.
Any questions?
Any other questions?
Okay.
What are you guys doing?
Oh, it's a farmer's market workshop.
Okay, so I think we're going to move on to our next panelist. This is Avril.
Hi, so my name is Avril. I'm the owner and operator of Shamba AZ, which is an LLC that I launched about a year ago, actually. And it's actually my third farmers market workshop with Tiger Mountain Foundation, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity and just have learned so much from being part of these workshops and just my own research and connecting with the community. So a little bit about myself. I grew up farming. My parents owned a farm back on an island in the Caribbean. So farming is just a big part of my life, has always been. And then I moved here to Arizona, maybe 13 years ago. and just wanted to continue farming and having access to good, fresh, homegrown food, which is what I was used to. So I've been doing it for a while, and have always had a desire to like join the farmers market and take food to market. And before I was able to do that, I would just share all of my surplus with my coworkers, my neighbors, just whomever I could get it into the hands of. And it was only last year I was finally able to get a product that I didn't need acres and acres of land to get to a farmers market, which was super awesome. So we specialize in microgreens, and I currently sell at 2 farmers markets here in the valley. So we do Arrowhead Market on Saturdays and High Street Market over at Desert Ridge on Sundays. And it's been like an amazing experience. I think it's been unexpected, like how I was able to get in. I used to think there was like a pretty steep barrier to entry to a farmers market, but I think it's about knowing the resources to tap into, just networking, going out there. Like Rachel said, go visit the markets, see what's being offered, what you can add to that, any unique product. Just kind of get an idea what's out there. Going online, that's a really pretty good tool because even before I went to the Arrowhead Market to check it out, I just went to their website and they had a really clean website, an easy application process. I submitted it and I was super surprised when I got a pretty quick response. So don't be intimidated. Just like put your name out there, put yourself out there to try to get into a market, especially if you have something you're super passionate about and you want to get it out to the community. Definitely do that. So that's been pretty much our experience. And in terms of just being at the market, you quickly do develop a sense of community being there, getting to know your vendors and basically just kind of reiterating what's been already said. Like you start to barter and network and gain and learn a lot from that. In terms of physically being at the market from day one to now, I think our first market was the first week of September, and you just learn so much. I think every single market day you learn something and you improve on your process, you make it better, you make it more efficient. And so it's been really satisfying to see how we've grown from day one. Like literally, like day one, I was just standing around, like nobody came up to us. Like I thought, like, oh, this is not going to be good. And so I remember I literally had a lady come up to me and she says, it was almost like just like a pity purchase. Like she's like, I've been watching you, and people observe you, so you really do need to be. She's like, I'm just gonna buy something from you because I've just seen like you're standing here and just like I was trying to do my best, and so I'm just like, wow, I didn't want to be flattered or to cry, but but even from that first day, you have to constantly assess what you're doing and just implement new changes to be better. One thing that we do is we try to do a lot of signage, make our signs clear. What we have, I have like a really big. I probably purchased the biggest banner I can afford. It's actually almost fits my 10 by 10 tent, our banner, and it attracts a lot of people. And also we got like tablecloths with our name and logo on it. I try to have a pretty clean, simple logo, just to make it really easy for people to know what I'm selling. My mom, who's really great at woodworking, we made our own like crates with our product in, and people like that. It draws them, and they start some conversation about, where'd you find it? I'm like, well, we made it, so that's really nice. And just having like a really clean, simple layout is really nice. And also every now and then we'll add flowers to our booth. Somebody wanted to purchase my flowers one time. I'm like, no, it's not for sale, it's just a prop. But it does draw people in. So that's kind of what our setup is. And again, like coming early, my mom really pushes us to get out the door in time. Which is great. I kind of need that sometimes. But yeah, when you get to the market, it's always best to have extra time on your side. You don't want to be flustered. You don't want your customers waiting. So we kind of have our process pretty seamless now. We know what goes on first and how set up our tent and our table, so it kind of becomes just a part of your routine as anything, and if you do it for a really long time. And in terms of just what we do to like attract customers, I try to have like value-added product at our tents now. From our first market, we literally just had microgreens, and while it's a unique product, you can get some good conversations and people will purchase. We started to dehydrate our microgreens and turn it into seasoning salt, and it's like probably the biggest conversation starter at our tent. And it also helps me with product excess product and spoilage, managing that. So that's been really big for us. And then I collaborated with a juice bar. I offered her our raw ingredients because we also grew cucumbers last year, and we had a surplus of cucumbers that we could sell, and we were able to turn that into juice. So I take her the raw ingredients, she makes the juice, I pick it up, and I take it to market, and we're able to offer that as well. So it gives people an idea what to make with microgreens, how it's going to taste, that sort of thing. So that's been pretty good, just trying to constantly think outside of the box to bring different products to market, in addition to just what I grow and produce. So value-added product is huge. So that's pretty much what we do. And I should say also, going back to some of the earlier questions about safe serve and food handlers, that definitely comes in handy if you want to do value-added product. I have a background in healthcare. That's what I did for many years. I still sort of do it as my 9 to 5, more in an administrative role. I used to work at a skilled nursing facility, so super familiar with healthcare and making sure things meet certain standards. So it's always good, even if you're just going to even give like just raw samples of your microgreens, just having that food handler's card is pretty huge. So I like to err on the side of caution, go above and beyond when it comes to food safety and that sort of thing. So, yeah. So that's basically what we do. You guys have any questions for me? Okay.
What were some obstacles you didn't plan for? And what is your process when things are coming at you quick like that? How do you get a resolution?
I think, so one of, oh yeah, so the question was what obstacles have we encountered and how we basically overcome it. I think one of the biggest obstacles for me was just getting started. Like I didn't know a clue about like how to get my insurance, for example. I think it's been 3 weeks trying to get that, like the liability insurance. And finally, I literally just called my insurance agent, my auto insurance, and I'm like, hey, do you guys offer this? And they're like, yeah, we do. It was through a third party, but I was able to get it like literally the afternoon before my first farmer's market. So that was a bit stressful. And I think the other thing for me too is when you're a farmer and you're producing things, I like to like try to overcompensate because I found out that like if I have an order or if I want to try to get a certain amount of produce to market, things can go sideways. And you want to have consistent product, you want to have enough product at the market. So I started growing more than I needed so that I didn't have that extra stress, which is why the whole microgreen salt came about, because we would have extra, but I would rather have it and not disappoint my customers. So that spin-off of having like the dehydration process and getting another value-added product came into place, so that helped me out. But that's pretty much it. I mean, again, just it's a quick learning curve because if you're doing it every week, like you can learn and grow from your mistakes pretty quickly, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you ever use the market as a pickup location for like orders?
Oh, so the question is, do I ever use the market as a pickup location? So it's only been like, I want to say the last 2 weeks that we have. So most of our customers have just been pretty consistent. They come every week. But I did run out for the first time of a few of my varieties, and I did have 2 customers ahead of time place their order, and I set it aside for the first thing in the morning. But I do want to do that more in the future. I did launch a website to try to drive some pre-orders that way. And we haven't done a full summer market yet, so in anticipation for the summer, one of my strategies for our business is to do like just a pickup. Maybe we can just be there for the first hour if we have all of our orders ahead of time, just that sort of thing. But it's something I think about, just try to be creative. I think I'll pass it over.
Question online.
Oh, we have a question online. Okay.
Does anyone offer California? Hold on. Okay, I may have missed this. Does anyone offer CSA and now so you find a business to assist with packaging? So if any of you guys have a CSA, kind of like what I was just asking about, if people place orders ahead of time, what business is used to assist with packaging?
So the question is in regards to CSA. Does any one of us have a CSA or participate in one? I don't particularly participate with the direct CSA. I did join a co-op, and I know they do have a farm box. So they're like an aggregator. So they purchase product from me, and then they manage their farm box, which is basically a CSA. So I do participate with some produce co-op. So that also helps me with some extra products.
Does anyone offer CSA? And if so, who helps with packaging? I don't know if anyone else up there knows an answer.
So I also
This is a great segue for Lynn.
I also work with Project as the farmers manager, and we do CSA boxes. They're delivered on delivered on Sundays, harvest on Saturdays for the packaging of those, and I build the boxes and also fill the boxes on top of it, also harvesting for those boxes. I do have them who do help me, but yes, we do offer CSA boxes, and the orders go in on Thursday nights, and then that way we know how much we need to harvest for those boxes that go out of the set.
Cool. Can you see if that answers Christy's question? It looks like it did. Okay, she said thank you. So we can segue over to you, Lorena.
Hi, I'm Lorena, and I started Low Seeds and Big Deeds last March of last year. It was pushed by my friend because he's like, what are you waiting on? Like, you started this farm and you're growing at home. I have all these seedlings and whatnot. I also farm at Spaces. I've been farming at Spaces of Opportunity, which is located at 1200 West Vineyard for about 2 years now, a little bit over 2.5 years. I started with my kids. I have 4 kids. They all started out with me, my teenagers, and then my 11-year-old. Basically, building the soil, farming, growing fresh fruits and vegetables. The first season we started out with was like tomatoes, which I love tomatoes, peppers, zucchini, and just figuring out how we were gonna sell this stuff in a market. We had all these fruits and vegetables. We had peppers. There was a freeze where we had all these peppers, and I was like, well, what are we going to do with them? Hydrate them? Well, we're going to have to, so we basically all sat around and cut them off the branches and, cut them off the branches and then froze them. And then I was like, well, we got to have a better plot plan as far as our planning plan as far as what we're going to grow and what's the right season and how we're going to preserve it and not waste it. So we started out at Space of Opportunity at the farmers market there with my 3 girls, selling our fresh fruits and vegetables. I also do eggs, so selling those eggs, which really attracts a lot of people at the table. And my kids being at the table attracts adults to the table. That's like the key thing. They communicate with the vendors, getting to know the customers, writing down things that the customers like, and having that at the market next time. Like we have this one guy who would come every week, tomatoes. He wants tomato plants. He wants at least 3 tomato plants. He got my tomato plants. Now that we're down at downtown market now, and my 2 oldest girls are down at the downtown market working with Project Roots. We have people who drive from everywhere for the eggs. They want the eggs. They want the produce. We have a Pacific guy. My kids know the names of the customers that have been coming and the farmers market. And that's like a key thing. And the way they bring customers to the table, they have balloons, and they noticed there was a lot of dogs out there. So they started bringing in plant-based dog treats, and that brings a lot of people to see what we have at the table. And, the table being clean and, tablecloth on there, balloons, clear signage, because people do want to know the prices, even though they're going to ask you, but that you have that communication with them as far as that.
We have somebody asking on Instagram Live your info, like how to contact you for what your services are.
As far as at Space of Opportunity, where Project Roots is, where we grow at on the quarter acres, you can go to projectrootsaz.org, and you can sign up for our volunteer class. Volunteers on Thursdays from 10 to 1 is our winter hours, and Saturdays from 10 to 1 p.m. We also have kid classes the second and fourth Saturday of the month from 10 to 1. And we have our kids class coming up actually this Saturday from 10 to 1. And Carol will be teaching that class.
Cool.
And it's pollination.
Cool.
Yes.
Do you guys have an Instagram page?
Yes, we do have an Instagram page. And it's Project Roots AZ.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. Any other questions? I think too, what would be nice is everybody should let everyone know how to get a hold of you, any Instagram, any way to keep in touch with you or to contact you for services.
My Instagram is Seeds and Deeds. My business is Low Seeds and Good Deeds. You can also contact me on Facebook it's actually Low Seeds and Good Deeds. I have a website, www.lowseedsandgooddeeds.com.
Cool.
And then you can also contact me through projectroots.az.org.
Okay.
And that's it.
Cool. Thank you.
So my Instagram handle is Ashamba_AZ, and our website is shambaaz.com, and so that's usually the best way. Instagram direct messaging works really great. I actually stay in touch with a lot of my customers that way for orders or if you have any questions, so that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Cool. And then Jen.
Okay, so we definitely have an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I think Tiger Mountain has it all, and it's Tiger Mountain Foundation. If you want to email me personally, it's Jen, JENN.Bell, BELL, at tigermountainfoundation.org.
Cool.
All right. Well, for Tiger Mountain, Tiger Mountain or Uptown? What do you remember? At the Uptown Farmers Market, best thing to do is, like I said, go to the application and the phone number and contacts on there. That's probably the best way to reach for Uptown Farmers Market. And then for Tiger Mountain Foundation, which I also work in the grant reporting, I forgot to mention that. I'm Rachel.Manley at tigermountainfoundation.org. But that's how you reach me.
And then
I don't have an Instagram. I don't have a website. What you see here, that's what you get.
And then is there anyone else that can tell Paula, who asked the question in the beginning, like, I know a lot of you touched on it, but just ways to attract customers to your booth. If there's anything additional you want to add, maybe Lorena.
So for me, a couple things we do, I forgot to mention earlier is, we've got live sample trays at our booth, and people see it. I try to bring like the most colorful variety of microgreens. So I usually have like a purple Rambo radish microgreen there, pea shoots, and we usually will cut little samples live for people to try, and it's always so amazing to see their face. They're like, holy cow, this tastes like a radish, or this tastes like pea. So That's probably our number one way to attract people is they see something green, they see something vibrant, they see something alive. They want to come see and touch and interact with it. And then also we do offer some samples like that juice that I have that juice bar make for us. I always get an extra bottle from her so we can sample that, and that usually also gets people like super like pumped. They're like, oh my god, this tastes amazing. It's not, you know, they see green, they think it's gonna taste like grass. So just having samples if you're permitted to, if you've got the food handler's license or food safe handling to do it, do that. And again, flowers, we every now and then I don't always have enough time to stop for flowers because we're always, you know, trying to just get there on time. But having flowers is always good. It attracts people. They see something. They like to do that. Just, you know, having good signage. We do like I do like the chalkboard and try to have, you know, like what we do like that it's locally grown, it's sustainably grown, that we're pesticide free, what we offer, and that gets people. I also have like collateral with recipes on there, very vibrant colors. Like I probably have the brightest smoothie that you can imagine on there. And so our information is on the back, recipe ideas on the front. That's helped a lot because if you have a product that's unique and people don't know how to use it, having you know, samples, something you can interact with, or even having recipes and education is super important. So those are my go-to.
Cool.
Like you said, a way that attracts and brings customers to there is, for example, the dog treats is a really attractive thing, and we're at the entrance when you first walk into downtown. So being at that walk-in and first there, and having bright colors, so it's lime green, and the plants are sitting there, and I look for the best vegetables, like for the turnip greens, to be sitting in like an ice, you know, a colorful. We have they're like vases, so they're vases. So we have the vases with the ice, with, you know, so that everything's perky. The radishes are perky. It draws their attention. We look for the color, you know, we bring colors out that draws people attention, and then conversation, speaking to everyone that passes by. You know, saying hi. You know, or you know, have you ate your vegetables today, or what are you eating for dinner? You know, would you like any radish today, or how about you? You know, we have where you can sample like a radish, or kids never had a beet, or you know, a turnip, or, you know, whatnot. Just having those key things to attract and talk to people when they pass by. So that's my.
I have a question. Are we doing audience questions?
Yes.
Okay, so I love this. With accessibility being the number one factor, I believe, in the disparity between the nutrition that people are getting, the accessibility of it. What are some, me as a South Phoenix resident, where are some farmer markets that I can go to?
There's a farmers market.
Let's repeat the question.
Oh.
So we have, because they can't hear it.
What are some of the farmers markets that you can go to in South Phoenix? One of them is Spaces of Opportunity, 1200 West Vineyard, that is in South Phoenix. It's on Vineyard. They've moved now to the third Saturday of the month from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the next farmers market is in February, that third Saturday. Another farmers market that you can go to in South Phoenix. Downtown Farmers Market be another closest one, which is on 5th Street in McKinley, and they're open on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
We have our fourth Saturday pop-up.
So we also have fourth Saturday pop-up
Garden of Tomorrow.
at Garden of Tomorrow, which is 18th and Broadway,
And we take vendors.
and we take vendors there as well. Yeah, then uptown in Phoenix, but that's not really South Phoenix. Unfortunately, South Phoenix is a bit of a food desert, and we need more markets there as well, which is why that's where Tiger Mountain is primarily located, so we can offer fresh produce.
Heart and Soil just launched a new farmers market in South Phoenix.
And Heart and Soil just launched a new farmers market.
And
in
reach
South
out to
Phoenix.
Nika.
And you can reach out to Nika.
Nika, yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
don't think so. Let the viewers know that to keep an eye out from an email from us for additional resources.
So we will be sending out an email with additional resources to everybody who is joining us.
And a survey.
And a survey as well.
And also, can we let our viewers know that we will have further workshops this year?
And we will have more workshops coming this year as well.
And then we're going to give them time in there to network right now, and Dee is going to handle it. Okay?
I got another. So, variety, I know I've learned that when you go to the grocery store, you don't get the variety of farmers market. Is there some way as a customer that, I might be from a different region, is there some way where I can get the fruit and vegetables that I know are used to into the market?
So you're looking for the variety that you're used to if you're from a different area and how you find that at a farmer's market.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of depends on what people are growing. A lot of people have moved to Arizona from different places and may be growing things from back home, and just knowing the season that you're in here, because farmers markets are going to be pretty seasonal. I know some farmers have greenhouses and they're working on growing things year round, but that's just something to keep in mind.
Are vendors responsive when someone like Rodney asks, hey, I would really like to have purple kale? Do vendors sometimes go back and say, hey, we're going to plant that next season?
So the question is, are vendors responsive if somebody asks for purple kale, will we grow that next season? I know for Tiger Mountain, we're really big on listening to what the community wants and growing what they ask for. We're constantly making seed lists and requests and growing it when we can. So definitely always give us what you're asking for. Farmers market vendors are usually very friendly. We can go up and talk to them and ask them questions, and they're happy to answer.
So to that question, with what I grow, because our grow time is literally like 14 days, we get that a lot. And we are, I'm just grateful that the product that I grow, being microgreens, we are able to fulfill that request. So right now, you should see my seed inventory. I have so much seed from different varieties, which is great. It gives me, the satisfaction of meeting a customer request within like a week to 2 weeks, and also giving me the exposure to grow different types of microgreens. And like right now, we have beets growing, and on my own, I wouldn't have grown beets, but I have a customer who literally gave me a list of like 8 different microgreens that she wanted. And she's like, so can you grow this? And I'm just so casual. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I feel like for me, the answer is always yes, or I'm going to try, So we do get that a lot. And it's actually been fun, just trying different varieties and just seeing their faces. Like, I do have beets now, and I also do carrot tops, and just a couple different mustards. And I was surprised that from that one request, now I have multiple customers that are excited about those new varieties. And that's another thing I should point out is, they say variety is the spice of life, and it's really not cliche. It's really true at the farmers market. When people come, consistency is good, but it's also nice if you can throw in something new from week to week so that your regular customers have something to look forward to. So that's really worked for us. I like to always throw in something new there, try different variety. I've even just given free samples of a variety if I didn't think it did so hot, or just to test out the market. I've given, as a free sample. I even did a customer appreciation in November, even after just only being at the market for 2 months. I tried a micro mix, and I'm like, I'm just going to give this to my consistent customers just to say I appreciate you, I recognize you, and thank you for supporting. And they were so blown away. They're like, oh my God, you're just going to give this to me? And I'm like, yeah. And so that kind of like locks them into you.
It's a great tip.
Yeah.
Lorena, how do you handle multiple markets?
The way I'm able to handle multiple markets is I utilize my children as far as being in the markets. And I've got them interested as far as growing, seeing where your fresh fruits and vegetables come from. It's not from the store, and it tastes different. Like, oh, you might not like that because you haven't had it grown fresh, from a garden, from the actual soil. So, and then, which got them more interested in, first they were at Spaces, and then when we got the opportunity to go ahead and work with project groups at downtown Phoenix, they were excited. I'm like, are you sure? That you have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like 6 o'clock, like we have to be there set up. Like we can't be late because it's key to get there or otherwise somebody had moved you over a little bit, or you're like, oh, it doesn't feel like I have my same space. So yeah, that's how I'm able to do multiple markets. Oh my goodness, like, whew, it's been a challenge for transportation because like when I first started off, as far as low seats and good deeds, I'm like, ooh, I have a plan, paid off van, I can transport my T-posts, my pounders, to get out to the farm. I got my ceilings, everything up in there. I can transport my tent to the farmer's market, chairs, tables, everything. I pulled my seats out. Oh, sure behold, my daughter was going to want to, bringing our stuff to the market and totaled the vehicle. I was like, you starting up over again? So, just challenges like that, like, okay, well, how am I going to figure this out? Okay, do I go to U-Haul? Who has a truck, who can assist with getting that out there and stuff? So, I was able to store a lot of my stuff in spaces since I'm there in the storage shed and just bring certain things like in my vehicle, my car, the small things like the ice chest. The produce is already in the cooler. So my produce is already in the cooler because I cleaned my produce the night before. So it's stored in the cooler at spaces. So, I don't have to worry about the transporting my tent and stuff is there. So, as far as downtown's been working, we have someone who will come drive, like my friend will come drive. Like I was like, you're gonna drive every Sunday and use your truck to drop my kids off, and so yeah, that's the challenging as far as the whole transportation.
What about, do you have anything?
I mean, fortunately, with what I grow, it's a pretty compact product. So we literally, I just got the biggest cooler from Costco, and it's able to fit in my my SUV, and we just get collapsible tables, folding tables. So just try to design your booth for the space that you have, because I've seen vendors literally I pull up in a Toyota Corolla, and that's not a big car. So it just depends on what you're growing, and if you have a big farm and it's you're gonna have a lot of totes and a lot of produce, that's a little bit more challenging. Like I said, fortunately, we just put ours in clamshell, so it's just a big cooler, folding tables, our tent's pretty compact. Just everything we do, we try to get things that can collapse, fit into each other, so it's efficient on the space. It's all able to fit into the back of my RAV4, pull down the seats, and we're good to go. I mean, thank God for that car because it's a workhorse. I'm so glad that we upgraded. Not even with having the market in mind, but but with just a mid-sized SUV, if you pull down the seats, you're able to get a lot in there.
Yeah, so I have a Toyota Matrix, and I use that for markets, and you'd be amazed what it can hold. But when I did work, my other markets, we used a van, just a big, I don't know, they're called beer can vans, I don't know what else to call them. And we used that, and it was really nice because we would load up, our tents, our tables, everything just stayed in that van, but we corded, because, like I said, we were traveling pretty far, a couple hours. And ultimately, when I have my own market, I would probably do a refrigerator van because you can just load everything up the night before, all your produce is in there, it's safe, and you can just go in the morning at 6 a.m.
Okay, cool. All right, we can say that.
All right, and so I think we're going to be breaking out into some rooms for networking.
Yeah, Dee's gonna see if anybody wants to network.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, bye guys.
Did anyone have any additional questions that they needed me to cover or send over?
I think we're straight. We covered mostly everything.